what is more plausible to you, my dear brothers, Shia and Sunni? Is it more plausible to believe that the right theology and aqidah is one that formed by accident through socio-political circumstances? Or is it that aqidah that says that there are divinely appointed heirs to the Prophet ﷺ? You see, when you speak of imams appointed by Allah, some laugh at it and see it being an incredulous idea. Where is the proof for this in the Quran? But the arguments that the Shia bring is this. If Allah's intention was that He would not be sending any other prophets after the last prophet, and He will not be revealing any other books, then He must make some arrangement to ensure that the message of this last book and this last prophet is not lost, and that knowledge of that remains. Otherwise, it is unfair and unjust. Why would Allah continuously send guides and prophets from Adam to the final prophet, to Khatam, and then suddenly go offline and disappear from human race? And leave people to their own devices to figure out who should succeed the prophet, whom should we follow, what is the answers to all these philosophical questions, what should we do when we can't interpret the Quran, what is sahih, what is not. You figure it out. And then on the Day of Judgment, what are the chances, statistically, that most of us would have found the right path and known the right interpretation of what Allah had intended to be the final religion from the final prophet? There has to be some arrangement that Allah should have made for guides who would continue and be the true heirs of this knowledge and to answer the questions that Muslims and Islam would have. If science evolves through circumstantial reasons, that is okay, because science is constantly evolving. Science can say this today and then change its mind and say that tomorrow. If the famous scientists and philosophers who come to rise came about only because of certain circumstances being in the right place at the right time, that is also okay, because it is a human science. But religion speaks of the salvation of the soul for all eternity. It does not sound reasonable and common sense to believe that you will stumble on the right doctrines and follow the right aqidah through accident and through just things happening by someone being at the right place at the right time, but not being divinely appointed. Are you with me? All right, if you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now somebody might argue and say that these schools that formed did not form in a vacuum. They were formed on the basis of Quran and Hadith. Our argument is that may be the case, but the majority of the Muslims are Ash'aris. But the other schools were also based on Quran and Hadith. The Qadiriyya also used Quran and Hadith to prove their point. The Mu'tazilites also used Quran. The Jahmiyyah also used the Quran. So now how do you determine who is using Quran and Hadith correctly and who is not using Quran and Hadith correctly? A simple example. What the Shia said was that there is a house that is the house of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the house that Allah has elevated in the Quran, and this is the house of Wahi, where revelation comes. And that is your one stop to all the answers and woes of the Muslims. A simple example. There is a story told that Imam Abu Hanifa once went to see Imam Jaffer as-Sadiq, salawatullahi salamu alayhi. And when he got there, there was a line of people waiting to see the Imam. So he had to sit outside and wait for his turn to have the audience with the Imam. Now while he was sitting outside, he saw a young boy playing with a goat, or just talking to a goat, a pet goat. And the boy was saying to the goat, "Usjud li rabbik," prostrate before your Lord. Now Imam Abu Hanifa was very touched by this, that a boy so young is so concerned about sajda and is telling this creature, "Usjud li rabbik." So he said, let me pass my time and see. Sometimes you ask a question to a child and they tell you something that is profound, right? So he asks this child the question that he had for Imam as-Sadiq. He says, tell me, when we commit a sin, who is causing the sin to be committed? The boy said to him, "O Abu Hanifa, there are only three possibilities. Either God is causing the sin to be committed, and the man is merely the puppet. Or God and the man together are committing." So he's referring to the principle of kasb. God is inspiring him, and then he is taking kasb and acquiring it, and then he is acting it out. So they're partners in committing the sin. Or the man is committing it himself. If God is committing it, then that is dhulm. He is committing the sin, but he's punishing the man. If they are partners, God is inspiring him, but he is acquiring it, then the more powerful partner is punishing the weaker partner, which is also unfair. So the only answer is the man is free. And this just blew him away. He said, "Who are you, my child?" He said, "I am Musa ibn Jaffer." So to which we are told Abu Hanifa stood up and said, "I do not need to see Ja'far as-Sadiq. I have got my answer." A principle like kasb that is holding this whole fort, an imam from the Ahlul Bayt as a child answers it like that. Because this is the house of wahi. Knowledge comes to them from a source that is ladunni,